Hello, everybody who has decided to stop on by for the inaugural official indoor adventure. And these are the indoor adventurers, all of these guys, because you're running through my game now, motherfuckers! All right, so, first order of business before we get started, I just wanted to say this is a home game. This is a homebrew world of my imagination that I have asked all of these wonderful people to join in on, and I couldn't be happier with the picks that I got because these are some amazing role players, and I am very excited to actually get down to a long form campaign with people. So that way we stop making really in-depth characters for one shots because that's kind of what we do. Uh, and so that we're gonna try and play a game that hopefully you guys can enjoy because we're also gonna try and enjoy it ourselves, which really shouldn't be too hard. If you've come by, you guys know we like to joke and have fun and stuff. It's D&D, why not? But it can also get serious. And it can also have moments of solace or moments of solitude, quiet moments, hard moments. All of these are a part of storytelling. Second off, everyone is going to roleplay and game to the best of their ability. So respect the decisions of the players. If they do something that you personally don't agree with, that's fine. Just remember this is our game that we are trying to also include you guys in on because we think that you might enjoy it as well. But in all honesty, telling us what you would do, you're not playing our character. That's kind of all there is to it. But we do appreciate feedback. So if there is any feedback that you would like to give that is constructive in some way, please feel free to do so because that's just the proper way to do it, in my opinion. Other than that, I think we're just going to try and enjoy ourselves and have ourselves a time. Third, I keep saying second. Like, I keep wanting to say second repeatedly, and it's just not going.
Fourth on the agenda.
Fourth, first, third, and B. So this last one is this is something that I'm actually kind of springing on my players right now. As well as giving you guys a pseudo simple and keen lesson, which is the idea of almost player homework. So one thing that I really like to do that I kind of already talked to Cyberwolf about is that I like to give out trinkets at the start of each game. These trinkets are completely mundane little pieces of backstory that you guys can use to work with and kind of get, just kind of do that. And this also introduces us to just kind of getting some roles out of the way. So, it can also either be homework, or if there's something that you like about it and it's another person's scene, you guys just aren't sitting around. You can do something with your trinkets. So, and it's also fun because I have certain trinket tables anyways in mind for some of you. So this should be a good one. So we are going to start off with Cyberwolf.
Hi.
So, your character is going to be getting some trinkets to start off the game. So I would like for you to roll a D100 twice, because I like giving out 2 trinkets.
All right. Best first roll of a game.
Yeah.
69.
Yay!
Nice. So, you get a flag from a ship that was lost at sea.
Right.
Now roll again.
And just to like clarify, because like we have talked about this before.
Yeah. You also get the other ones.
Okay.
Yes. No, I'm not like rewriting over them. I think they were cute, and our audiences will maybe see them. If it comes up at the table.
All right. And I don't know about you, but I just rolled a 22.
Okay, so a 22 also gets you a wineskin that refills when interred with a dead person for a night.
Whoa.
So if you leave a wineskin with a dead body overnight, it'll refill for you.
Dead wine.
Delicious.
Dead wine.
Sarcophagus juice, got it.
Yes. Sarcophagus juice. All right. So, next up, we are going to go to Danae Keener of DanaeKeener.com. She's a great, great artist. Also has a Twitter, or also has a Twitch where you do drawings during our games. So if you guys like watching art and listening, that's a totally cool place to do that too. So you are going to roll a D100.
All right, let's get that D100 out. Let's do this. First roll is 81.
All right, so with an 81, you get a purple handkerchief embroidered with the name of a powerful archmage.
Ooh. All right. Alrighty.
All right.
Did I roll again?
Yes.
That is a 44.
All right, so with a 44, you roll for a mechanical canary inside of a gnomish lamp.
Whoa.
That's cool.
And it is all of these are entirely up to you guys as to how you got them, how they came about. This is more of a just like, hey, your character also has these. Just keeping you on your toes.
Neat.
Yes. All right, so next up is wait, no, you roll twice. So LB, would you like to roll 2 D100?
Yeah. 83.
Okay, so you get a bit of folded cloth that, when unfolds, turns into a very stylish cap.
Ooh.
Neato.
Like, what kind of cap are we talking about?
Hey, man, this is your trinket to do with whatever. I'm just telling you, you get a stylish cap.
Got it. And 36.
All right, you get a vest with 100 tiny pockets.
Sweet.
That's a very specific number.
Yes, 100 tiny pockets.
What can they
So-
possibly hold?
1 gold piece each. So when I pay for things, it's just... hold on.
Hold on. That'll be 40 gold pieces. Okay,
Hold
hold on.
on.
We're going to be here for a while. Oh, no, this one's empty. Hold on, let me check.
Right.
I must have left it in my other pocket.
Yeah.
Which is right here.
I have it in my pocket.
I need to remember to turn these inside out.
All
Is
right.
that a rocket in your pocket, or are you happy to see me? Which pocket?
There is quite a few of them.
Well, I usually keep the cherry bombs here, but that wasn't so well thought out.
That didn't work out very well.
All right, so RJ, I would like for you to roll 2 D100.
So while you guys were doing that, I pre-rolled to save some time, and I got a 37 for 1 roll.
Okay.
Nice.
You get a small, weightless stone block.
Just a cinder block.
Weightless,
Okay.
though.
It's a weightless cinder block.
Yep.
All right. Notes. And I got a 9 and a 00. Is that 100?
No, that isn't. That's just 9.
This is 9. Okay.
Yep. Oh, you get a rope necklace from which dangles 4 mummified elf fingers.
Oh boy.
Fun.
Wowee.
That's gonna be real dark.
That's gonna be fun to explain.
We've got a lot of
You
macabre
guys-
stuff.
You guys got a lot of explaining to do, and I'm very excited to hear it. But I believe that that it is about time that we can start this whole process. So, the time of day is in the early afternoon when Caelum is arriving with his 3 adventuring companions, Mugwort Dan, Fira, and what was the name of your other one?
It was an H sound. Let me double check. Oh shit.
Haha, I brought up my OneNote. So I'm sorry for this weird interruption, but that's okay. It was
It's
Prescott.
Hava. Oh, it's Prescott.
Yes.
Hava, Prescott, Mugworth.
So,
Yes.
your friends Mugwort, Prescott, and Farin. And as you guys are going down the road, you've had a pretty solid couple of days from where you met these three on the outskirts of your old abbey. And in doing so, they taught you several things. They taught you how to fight. They taught you how to lie low, and most importantly, they taught you a little bit of social interaction. From where you were, that was not something that necessarily came commonly or came easily to you, but these three seem to have opened up in such a way that they've kind of brought you out of your shell just ever so slightly. And as you continue forward, Mugwort, your dwarven ranger companion, points ahead. There she is, the Shroud Port. And you look, and as you come over this hill, you see before you a large stone wall that surrounds what looks like the edge of a cliffside. To the right, you can see that there is that the gate kind of just goes out until it meets the cliff face, rather than trying to continue on or anything like that. In front of you, there is a large gatehouse that the road kind of just kind of finds its natural curve down towards. And off to the left, on a long outstretch, on a long outcropping of rock, you see this very nice house that rests on top of that. And you continue on for a little bit longer, probably an hour, hour and a half left on your cart until you finally make it to the front gates of this town. And as you are approaching, Mugwort tells you that the Shroud Port, well, the Shroud Port is one of the most dangerous places in the land. You can get stabbed for looking different, but you can get stabbed for looking the same. Nobody really cares, they're just kind of in it for the money. It's a good ship place, though. If you ever want to sail, not that I would recommend it. It is a good place for trade, at least. Yeah, we come here every so often. We like going to this bar, the Zesty Anchor. You like going to the Zesty Anchor, but I'll have none of it, says Prescott, as you guys are continuing on. And Farron just slaps Prescott on his back. Just, come on, we always go to the Zesty Anchor. It's tradition, ever since we started this whole thing. And,
Okay, but
yep.
Am I gonna need like papers to get in, or what am I supposed to do?
Do not worry, my friend. You come with us. It's okay. Shroudport really is a welcoming community, as long as you have coin.
But you just said that they'd stab me for looking different, like...
They stab everybody, it happens. Just don't go to the wrong side of town.
So it's like an equal opportunity stabbing, okay.
Yes.
That's nice, yes.
Yes, very progressive, very forward-thinking as to who is getting the stabs.
I guess I'll just leave my shield on my back then.
It's probably a good place. Now, we shall find a place to stable our carts, and then we shall go to the Zesty Anchor, yes? And Farron just like, well, we do go there every time, so I don't see why not. And Prescott just has his arms folded up, just again having none of it. And he has elven ears, brown hair that's kind of swept to the side a little bit. But his skin is very fair and very pale, and he's wearing the gear of a mage. And you would know him to be a mage as well, whereas Farron is your fighter companion. And they seem to have formed a pretty tight-knit group, and they just welcomed you along, given your past situation. And so as you enter this town, as you get closer, you can just start smelling that sweet but almost tart smell of briny water as you look out before you, and this city almost seems to be stacked upon itself, where the houses are built along a series of switchbacks that go all the way down to a wall until it goes to the water's edge, where you can see dock workers. And from this topmost layer, you can see down the entire city. You see dock workers, you see sailors, you see merchants, you see well-to-do individuals, halflings, humans, half-orcs, tieflings. This city just seems to be a sprawling city for all of those who seek to make their fortunes there. And as you continue on this path, you can see that there is just a large stone wall with another gate past your gatehouse, past the gatehouse that you've passed through now. That seems to be walled up, and the gate is steadily closing down. This guard that seems to be slightly cleaner than the rest is just kind of looking at the lot of you, just with a little bit of dissatisfaction in his eyes. Almost like he's thinking to himself, "Oh, great, another set of adventurers." And you continue on down the switchbacks of Shroudport, and up in the left, on the left cliffside, where you'd seen the large house, you can actually see broken out in the cliffside going down more parts of a building. Almost like this house has a large series of underground tunnels and caves. But then you also see light start emanating from this structure in the cliffside. And you would know from your readings that this looks like a lighthouse. And that this house on top of this cliff seems to be an upside down lighthouse kind of built into the rock face. Where it goes down to where the light is rather than going up.
Is that normally how lighthouses work out here?
Well, not directly out here, but just this one. It's part of what makes the entire place so special. Now, don't worry. You, have you ever had a drink before?
No, but, you know, my body's a temple, that sort of thing.
All right, I think you're going to do fine. Just, you know, maybe when you meet people, just tell them, like, hey, if you guys want to party, I can drive the cart home. Like, that is a huge service to people when they find that out.
Okay, but I think I'd be lying. I've never driven a cart before.
Well, it's really not that hard. I mean, I would show you right now, but these switchbacks, he's not as user-friendly as you would think for the start.
I mean, I've read a bit about, like, parallel parking, but that seems a bit troublesome.
No reading can prepare you for the parallel park. No amount of reading. He just gets this very sullen look in his eyes.
Okay.
And as you progress down the switchbacks, you end up finding a place for your cart, and then you see Farron just kind of like give this guy some money, just the actual cart owner, and then you continue onward until you get all the way down to the wall that is built at the bottom of the city. And that is when Farron motions for you to follow him left. And as he does, you see that the rows of buildings actually get very tight. And Mugwort looks at you and says, "This is what they call the squeeze. It's because the buildings come together so close that the roofs cut off any rainfall that comes in. It's actually probably the driest part of town. But this is where the Zesty Anchor is. This is where we want to be, my friend." And they continue leading you down, and you're just kind of taking in the sights and the smells of this city. There are food vendors out and about, just sort of offering people meat on a stick, and it's kind of disconcerting, mostly because that's all that it says is meat on a stick. They don't specify what kind. And they also have a variety of fish that you can possibly eat. But you're not seeing a whole lot in terms of vegetation or like vegetarian food or vegetarian options down here. It really just seems like bottom of the bins is kind of what they're selling. And that is when Mugwort, your dwarven friend, points above you and says, there it is. A Zesty Anchor. And you just see this giant anchor hanging from a street sign that leads to a set of, just a set of like swinging double doors, kind of like Wild West style, I want to say. But you can just feel that there is a lot of heat coming from this building. You can hear a lot of people also kind of just like cheering and talking and enjoying themselves inside of this tavern.
You know, I don't think that's really structurally sound, it being up there like that.
What? The lighthouse?
Giant anchor sitting atop the bar where there are numerous patrons.
All right.
You know.
You can admit that it is probably not the best in terms of structural soundness, but please do not tell the owner about that. He's very sensitive when it comes to his anchor.
I'm sure most people will be sensitive about their anchor. I guess I'll just keep my mouth shut in there then. Shall we?
Taverns are great places to talk to new people, to get to know people. Maybe you meet some people while you're in there, yes?
Okay.
Let's try it anyways. And he just slaps your back and kind of pushes you into the bar with the rest of the group. And when you walk in these double doors, you see that this bar is set up in three different levels, where it is the first level, a set of stairs down, a second level that is just kind of a half ring for seats, almost like this was built out of the back end of a ship. And it kind of progresses down until you can see a stage in front of you where there's a bard that's just kind of like playing some songs just to kind of get idle background music. And they are jolly. They are a little bit more shanty driven than most bar songs would be, but given the current locale, it's pretty par for the course. And you make a perception check.
First roll of the night, everybody. Yeah, I could do this. 13.
All right. So with your 13, you notice that there's a lot of people at this tavern. Mostly humans, several half-orcs, and you can see this one table being really rowdy. And looking around, you see that there's a half-orc behind the counter that seems to just be passing this kind of hooded figure, this tall glass just full of brown liquid, which you would assume to be alcohol of some variety, though you are not necessarily confident you would be able to guess what kind. And sitting next to this hooded figure is a elven woman who has very vibrant red hair, and they just seem to be talking back and forth while they're also kind of communicating with this bartender, and they just seem to be having a kind of a pleasant exchange of words. And also looking around, you see that there are groups just kind of scattered throughout. It looks like people have formed their own personal cliques or come here as a party to continue out their day. And you see that the tiefling waitress there's a tiefling waitress kind of going around just serving up food to people as they order it. And at one point, as you're sitting down at the bottom right of this three-tiered bar, just in one of the tables kind of closer to the front, while Mugwort, Dan, and Farron go up to order drinks and Prescott stews, you see that the tiefling waitress kind of like leans down, puts food in front of this half-orc, and as she turns around, he slaps her ass. But when he does, kind of like joking and laughing to his friends, she turns around, points a finger, and you see his clothes just ignite into fire, and he starts hurriedly trying to pat them out. And she looks at the entire group and just says, "And let that be a lesson to you." And the rest of them all just immediately, as if on cue, switch their heads straight down, bring their mug up to their mouth, and each take a very long pull while their half-orc friend continues to bat the fire out on his clothing. And you can assume that this barmaid is not having it with anybody. She presents service with a smile, but there are very sharp teeth behind that smile.
Scott,
what?
is it normal for people just to light other people on fire? Is that a social cue that I have to take? Do I have to light you on fire?
No. Yeah. The social cue is he did something that she didn't like, and so she did something to him that he very much wouldn't like, to further enunciate how much she did not like the thing.
An eye for an eye. Got it.
Yes. That is actually very close to the lessons that we've been trying to teach you anyways. Our group is, I don't know how to put this. It's very difficult to do our job with someone like-ish you around. How do I put this?
Naive to the ways of the world.
What?
Naive to the ways of the world.
No, you just will probably very easily die, and I don't want that on my conscience.
But you know, I've been learning to use the shield and the spear and like
when you say
jab.
that, Farron pats you on the back and just says, "He has, Prescott. You have to admit, kid's been learning some. And that's actually pretty important for a life out on the road." But, Caelum, Prescott does provide a very sound argument. The work that we do is a lot more dangerous than I think that you can necessarily handle right now, and I don't want to be responsible for you dying.
But
don't worry, we'll figure something out. I'm not just going to kick you out to the street or abandon you in a large city. So don't worry.
Okay.
We're road family. We travel together. We'll fight together. Just like I would for any family member, I'm going to find a good place for you.
You're going to find my forever home?
And Mugwort dances. Oh my god, shut up! What is with this? The Zesty Anchor is not a place for crying, it is a place for drinking and revelry. And he slams 3 mugs and of ale down onto or he slams 3 mugs of this darkish liquid down onto the counter, and then one of them is just clear liquid all the way down. You said that you did not drink any. We have a cart. Remember what I said. People who do not participate are wonders to those who do when they are in need of driving a cart.
I'll learn on the fly then. Grab the mug of water.
And you guys continue drinking for a little bit. But before we move away, I feel like I've done a disservice. If you would like to describe how your character looks to the 2 that are currently sitting at the bar, the hooded figure that has horns kind of extending out forward, and the elven girl with vibrant red hair. As Blake and Coriander, this is what you have seen walking in.
Walking in with his adventuring party, you see this elven-looking man with very pale, almost alabaster skin, dark black eyes, jet black hair, tied up into like this small, medium-length ponytail. He's currently wearing very drab colors and leather armor with like a chainmail shirt, and he has this very round and big shield on his back, like a hoplon, it's what it's called. And emblazoned across it is a pair of eyes and 7 stars that surround it.
Now, Blake and Coriander, if you would like to make a religion check to identify this symbol, you are more than welcome.
I do that. Not great. Okay. That's gonna be
10.
bum, 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 7.
Okay. So 10 and 7. All right. So with the 7, this is most definitely something you haven't seen before. It looks very interesting, to say the least, as the shield itself is very bright, very chromatic and shiny, like it's been very polished. So you can see this symbol shining through, almost like it has a mirror-like sheen. And Blake, with your general knowledge of having gone through your studies to become what you are today, you had to familiarize yourself with the common deities of the land, and you would recognize this to be Caelum, who is one of the gods of knowledge and is also a goddess of the moon. All right, and then we'll switch over to you two guys, as you are currently engaged in a conversation with a half-orc who has described himself as Fang Zest, the owner and proprietor of the Zesty Anchor. And this half-orc has very soft features. He doesn't have like squared shoulders; they kind of slope downward a little bit. His bottom tusks are rather small. And he has more of a long face to kind of just like, he looks very non-threatening, even as this giant half-orc. If anything, his size would give him away as a previous adventurer. And you can see that he has a lot of scars and burns and other marks to kind of show the trials and tribulations that he has been through in order to procure this bar.
So, what brings you to this side of town? Haven't seen either of you two here before, but, well, dare say you look interesting, if anything.
Well, that would be work. Honestly, we're looking for some work. Hopefully of the adventuring variety, with swashbuckling and chivalry. I was hoping that you, of all people, would have a few ideas, considering your previous vocation and all.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a pretty fair assessment, I'm not gonna lie. Oh god, let's see. I usually keep them on board up there. I don't really know a lot off the top of my head. I kind of just let people post them up.
The board.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, up on that third layer up there, next to those, there's like five guys just sitting up there. They like to perch. So if they see any new adventures coming along, it'll typically take them. But sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah, what a quaint notion. And Coriander's just going to kind of stand up and sashay over towards that board and give it a good look over.
All right. And what does Coriander look like?
Coriander is a very tall, probably compared to any of the other elves in the room. She's pushing 6 feet. And she kind of is just like a very tall, willowy figure. She's got orange skin and like red hair that kind of turns yellow towards the ends. And she's wearing chainmail and kind of actually like a leafy cloth garb over that. And she has a sword on her side and a shield on her back. And like she's just very colorful compared to everything else around her. Like it almost as if she doesn't like it's like she's been badly photoshopped into a different picture. Like she just doesn't fit in at all. Like almost as if she's like from a different world. So she's gonna walk over to that board and have a good look at it.
All right. And while you are looking at that, Fang is going to look at the hooded figure sitting in front of him. And Cyberwolf, what does Fang see sitting in front of him, drinking from a cup he was just served?
He doesn't see a whole lot because Blake is trying to keep a lot of himself covered.
If you want, you can make a stealth check.
Nah. But if he would take back the hood, he would see a fucking terrifying dragon man. Black scales, face looking like a black dragon skull sort of face, yellow eyes. Whereas Corey's like full of color, he is pretty much devoid of it. His scales are black. His armor is just grays and like army green. And he is just sort of like both fingers around the mug that was handed to him, just like carefully sipping at it, trying not to draw any attention to himself.
That's fair enough. And he will look at you and just say,
She's pretty chatty, huh?
just trying to make idle conversation with you.
Yeah, she is.
So, she said that you guys came here for work. Like, you already got a job, or you still looking for some? Do you need anything?
I managed to pick up one job, but we never have too much work.
No, there's kind of a limitless supply here. If you ever, I mean, you're pretty tall. You got the things coming from up there. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you just stood in front of a doorway, nobody would go into that room. You could probably make some good coin here as an enforcer if you were ever finding yourself such.
He's just gonna awkwardly not really say anything to that.
Okay. And so then we'll move back to Cori, who has gotten to this job board. And looking at it, you can see that there are 2 jobs that currently, it looks like a stack of flyers that you would tear the bottom off of one, almost like you would a everyday calendar. But there's a pretty thick stack of these 2 quests that have kind of been either looked at or taken down to at least admire for what they are. And one of them is a general help request from the city itself, as they are looking for explorers to navigate unsanctioned passages beneath the city, deep within the sewers. As the persons who have built these passages are in violation of City Section Code 351B, and they must be found out in order to suffer the proper ramifications of the city's judicial system. Seems very long-winded for the TLDR of walk around in the sewer, please.
Yep.
And then you see that there is another job list, and that first one is listed for. Let's see here. That quest is listed for 200 gold upon completion. And then you see a second kind of pull tab paper, and it says fishmen must pay. And must is underlined like 3 times, and pay is written in capitals, and there's a lot of exclamation marks. And the little write-up that you get about this is that there is a fisherman who he and his son have been attacked by what he describes as mean old fish people. And they are preventing him from getting fish to bring in an income for his family. So he would like for you to kill or forcibly remove the fishmen from this situation. and you will get 75 gold at the start and another 75 gold upon completion.
All right. She's gonna grab a copy of each and kind of bound back over to Blake and be like, have a look at these, Blake. I think that this one right here, and she kind of like points at the sewer job. She's like, this one right here seems pretty standard, but this one right here, this is a poor man and his family. We need to help him. She kind of like shoves that in his face, like all the way up into the hood.
There's that other one that you were talking about.
And Fang just sort of like butts into the conversation to confront you, Blake, about the contract you had told him about.
Yeah, I guess I did pick up one slightly before I met you.
Oh?
Scrolling through my Discord. There's a prize-winning arborist in the Overlook District that's seeking aid. Some hostile foliage is running around her garden. It's paying a bit more, and we would only have to deal with one person.
All right. Well, I suppose this is the job that you already had. It would be the honorable thing to help them first. And she kind of like folds up the fisherman flyer and tucks it neatly away. But we will have to check on that fisherman later and see if he still needs help.
All right.
And then Fang looks at you, Blake, and says,
Wait, did you say award-winning arborist? I only know one guy who's an award-winning arborist, and if he screwed up, I've been waiting years to find out something on this guy.
Oh?
Yeah. No, his name is Sten Fizeno. He's a little gnomish fella. Every year during the first ship's parade, he always has the nicest float with all of these really cool flowers and plants on them. And I always end up going after him. And all I got's my really sweet anchor. It's not really the same as having a bunch of flowers. It's just a half-orc carrying an anchor. It looks like some sort of slavers' movement has found their way into a parade.
Oh my, have you considered putting flowers on the anchor?
It really wouldn't sell as well as you think that it would.
and when he says that, you see that there is there's an attendant of the bar who just like stands up and starts being like, fuck yeah, like just getting like really like up in somebody else's face. And Fang grabs something from underneath the bar and whips out, and you see this long leather whip just completely catch the guy in the hand who is trying to raise any noise and just
sit your ass down.
And then the guy just he just sits back down where he was, like can't even form full sentences. And Fang just puts his whip back onto his hip.
Coriander kind of watches that happen, and then she turns to him and says, I think flowers on the anchor would look lovely.
Like I said, it's not really the image that I'm going for. So really, I have two options, which is try and find my way into getting a different place that doesn't go directly behind him on First Ship's parade, or I just make his look really, really terrible, and then mine can look sweet.
That's not very honorable at all.
Yeah, but I was an adventurer. Honor gets you so far, but skill and cunning is the second half.
Can I insight check this?
Yeah, go for it.
Is he the saboteur? 3. +4, 7.
You're not Sure. The read you're getting on this guy, like, the people that you trained with, they were mostly humans and half-elves, and you could get a really good, like, a really good visual on their facial interactions and, like, especially around the mouth, like the way that their mouth would contort if they were lying or telling the truth. But all of that is just thrown out the fucking window with these two tusks just kind of fucking up the lower lip for him to speak. And it is around this time that you guys get some food brought out to you, and Fang is just giving it to you for free as he feels that beginning an adventure is already hard enough without having to worry about your next meal. So he's willing to give you some free food, which he says is made by their chef Huddle. And you see this kind of like tortoise-looking person. He's standing on two legs, giant turtle shell on his back, kind of like a lazy snapper face, just holding out a tray. And Fang takes it from him, and just and he just kind of nods, and Fang lets you know that the name of the chef is Huddle, and the name of the barmaid is Mirth.
I see what you did there.
And the night is going pretty well. Like, even though Blake, even though you aren't necessarily being the most conversive with this half-orc, he seems to understand that some adventurers just aren't very talkative. And then that is completely offset by the very talkative nature of Coriander, who is just soaking in as much information about this town as Fang is willing to put down. And he starts pouring himself some ale to continue talking. And also gives you some as well, but he says that he's giving you the better kind. This was more that it was a little bit newer, but after talking to you for a little bit, and you kind of tell him what kind of foods that you like in order to get your initial meal, he mixes up a specialty drink for you, which he calls the names after the namesake of the bar, the Zesty Anchor. And it is when he brings it out, it is a like very see-through brown liquor that he seems to have poured in, and then you see him pull out a little vase, and he pours a quick dash in there on the top, and he lets you know,
when I was sailing, we went to these places, the Elestrian Isles, down way down in the south, and while we were there, I found the hottest pepper that I have ever eaten. I made an extract from it. I poured a little bit in everybody's Zesty Anchor. So, a little bit of spice, but it still tastes, let's just say anchory.
And he offers that to you instead. And Blake, he'll offer you one as well if you would like a mixed drink of the hottest pepper. And what your background would lead you to believe would be some sort of bourbon.
Coriander seems very excited about this spicy pepper drink.
Do you taste anchors often?
No, but I've been in a few fights with people I shouldn't have been.
He'll take a sip very gingerly.
So your ginger sip is the initial burn of alcohol where your lips kind of like parch up just ever so slightly, and then quickly just sort of sucker punched with this habanero spice that just sort of explodes into your mouth. And Cori, you kind of feel the same thing as you take this large swig, where it is the initial burn of alcohol followed by another just stark flash burn, almost like a whip crack of flavor, of just spice directly onto your palate. And Fang just is kind of chuckling to himself at Blake's reaction. And Cori, how does this kind of drink suit your palate?
Her cheeks just turn like really rosy red, kind of reacting to the heat. But she like reacts as though she's drinking like a nice sweet little girly drink, and she's just like, oh, that's very nice. Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, Blake just the coughing just makes it worse. And so that is when we will transition from the scene at this bar to another bar. And that is the bar where Gwen, you are currently being let go from. As this gnome standing in front of you, who you know as Barristan Smallmead, a gnome, is in the process of firing you from the Staggering Spirit, which is a bar that is on the upper shelf of the city. And you would know that the Staggering Spirit is named as such because of a ghost that haunts the place, but it's kind of an alcoholic ghost, and all it really does is kind of just like pour booze from this mug that shakily sways down one particular hallway. Nobody really knows where this ghost came from, but they know that the legend goes that years and years and years ago, it used to be a much more nefarious ghost, but then it was the building itself was turned into a tavern, and then that ghost was able to get some alcohol, and that seemed to be really all that the ghost needed was just some booze.
Mm-hmm.
Barristan looks at you, Gwen, and just,
all right, listen, I understand that we kind of had a rapport going, but your image, kind of what you're going for, I understand the stylish cat, but I don't think you have what we're looking for. When I hired you 2 weeks ago, I think, was that the day that you decided to shower? Because I don't think I've seen you get any cleaner since the day that you got here.
Is this a fucking popularity contest? Because I was hired here to do a job, and that was not bathing. And my job was to keep people from fucking shit up. And guess what I've done?
All right, but you have to understand. This is a tourist attraction. You need to be part of the attraction. So if you cannot do that, you tend to rough up our customers to the point where I'm kind of afraid that we're going to get a second haunting.
You told me to keep people from doing and touching things, and I did that thing, and now you're telling me that I shouldn't do that thing? I'm confused.
Look, I have had to pay for 3 broken wrists, 1 shattered kneecap, and 4 if you would count an hour ago's visit to the local temple. I am spending more money on hospital visits and visits to the clerics than I am on your annual salary since you've been hired. You're a liability, Gwen. I can't have you here.
You know what? I took a chance. I've never liked gnomes, and you know what? I took a chance working here.
So it comes out.
You know what? I'm just gonna go back to my roots and say, fuck gnomes, fuck you guys, I'm outie.
I see how it is.
She just backs out of the room.
Well, you know what? You're not gonna get severance pay? You accosted me? I am going to talk to Carol in HR, and you are going to get nothing.
Carol hates you, I say as I walk out.
and as you walk out, you just kind of hear in the background, but
Mom always said she loved me.
And you just kind of storm off through the city. You are not having any of this. Like,
nope.
you have just been fired by by this very stuck-up gnome who seemed to have his own idea about how a really quality tavern should be run within Shroudport. You've been here for roughly a year, and this is the thanks that you get, and like you've had this quick departure from several institutions throughout the city over your year staying here. Usually with the following lines of, "You're a liability, Gwen. We can't afford to keep you around." As you tend to get a little bit physical, when really you should have just maybe like stood in front of the door. You tackled a guy through the door to the point of unconsciousness so he couldn't run away. And it's been a year. It's been in some points a rough year, at some points a great year. So it's very hard for you to necessarily write this up as even a good or a bad day. Sure, you got fired, but I mean,
Still
you
got
did
paid.
break a guy's wrist before you got fired, so it kind of evens out as far as
Yeah, it does.
as far as enjoyment, as much as it does work over pleasure. And so you kind of get the feeling that you are going to go back to your roots and just kind of forget about this whole thing. And you decide that you are going to go to your favorite bar, which is run by the half-orc Fang Zest, which you know as the Zesty Anchor in the lowest part of the district. And as you continue onward, you have all of your gear about you, but you are just fuming, and you go to shoulder check a guy, but he's about 3 feet taller than you stand, so really you hip check this guy, and you hear kind of a popping noise, and he turns around to look at you and just, why? And as you turn around, very snappy, with your brooding sensation, what does this man see as the thing who just hip checked his hip out of place?
Gwen is a very average size halfling. Blonde hair, dirty. She braided it probably 3 days ago, and it's, slept on it. It's fine. It's still contained for the most part. She doesn't, really keep up an aesthetic with her outfit, and I mean, she doesn't really bathe that often. She doesn't need to. I mean, people are usually smell rises, so she doesn't really smell it. But she's wearing a lot of like browns and leathers and stuff like that. She has a rather large axe on her back that seems pretty insane for her size, but she also has a couple axes on her hips, just small like throwing stuff, but and then a backpack. But she is just like, mostly it's just in her eyes. She's just fuming, and if this person says anything more, she's ready to fight.
He rolled a really good insight check to check his tongue. So upon seeing you, he just, "My apologies," and you see him just kind of like slumping off, holding onto his hip, where his leg is kind of trailing behind him as he walks away from you, and your back gets a little bit straighter, and your chin gets a little bit higher, knowing that doesn't matter if you got fired, you still got it.
That's true.
And so you make your way through the city, and as you continue onward, you pass by some of the familiar areas that you've been to, where it's kind of a shame, really, because the Staggering Spirit is towards the top of the town, and then the Zesty Anchor is towards the bottom. But I mean, being that close to the ocean never really bothered you as much as it did other halflings that you had met or other gnomes that you knew. So you continue along these switchbacks, and you go past your regular haunts, where there's a blacksmith who you've had sharpen your weapons several times. There are good bakers from bad bakers. Where to buy quality meat on a stick versus very, very like gut-wrenching meat on a stick. And this city has almost felt like home, but nothing really feels like home to you, I would say. Mostly because of your more nomadic upbringing, but this is the closest that you felt to, I could stay here for at least a little bit and just kind of be fine with it.
Yeah.
And as you go down a left switchback, you see that there are some shops that are kind of built into the cliffside, and then going around to the right side, you can see that there are waterfalls that are just sort of spilling out. And people don't have their houses built directly under it, but you can see that some of those waterfalls are going into collected pools. Where people are just kind of filling up jugs to collect fresh water and either bring back to their houses or to their establishments. And you go back and forth on several switchbacks until you get to another waterfall. But this one does just sort of go all the way to the ground, where it's opened up underneath it to let it pour into the ground below. And you know from your just from your time spent here that this back area has it has a marketplace. It has other establishments. If you were to go through that waterfall, there would be just this small community that was sort of built out for by those and for those that feel more comfortable underground, but definitely want to still participate in the mercantile system that exists within the Shroud Port.
Okay.
And you continue making your way down these switchbacks until finally you find a flight of stairs that's kind of tucked in between some buildings, and you know that if you take these stairs, there's some at every level. But if you kind of take these back stairs, then rather than going back and forth across the switchbacks, that you can just directly go down layers. Although the steps are very steep, with your halfling size, it's actually pretty easy. They've never really given you problems before, and you don't really expect them to give you problems now. And so you see other carts of people coming upward, and you see these sailors and farmers kind of like rubbing their work animals' necks, who have to trudge up all of these switchbacks going up. Just, I'm sorry. And like you see like one guy like feeds a carrot to his cow at every switchback, to just kind of like give it the motivation to ricochet up this long cliff face. Because you would know also that the Lord Keeper of Shroudport, who is in charge of the lighthouse as well as like the ruling body, his house is about 400 feet up, directly from the ground, straight up to where he is. And you know that it is 400 feet up because that is the outcropping of, or the jutting portion of rock that sort of seems to extend out from the above section of ground. But the city itself is very condensed but very sloped, so it's kind of stacked on top of each other. And you kind of just go through these back alleys, and you can see that there are some people who are either doing like kind of like not necessarily like nefarious dealings, like I've sold you a person, but like you see a guy like kind of look back and forth, hand a bag of something over to another guy who takes it and then gives him some gold, and they both shake a hand saying thank you for your gift, to really like as if anyone was paying attention, they were just being generous.
Right.
And it you see other things like that. Like you see one guy like shiftily hand a chicken to another guy, who then gives him some money, and then they run off. Or there's
Black market chicken.
Or there's one guy who kind of like looks both ways, hands a fruit basket to one guy, and then that guy looks both ways, hands him a puppy, and then they depart, never to be seen again. And you're just kind of like, I love this town. Like there's it's nonsense, shady trading. Like you have no idea what the speculative trading is that's going on, but they seem to know and they're trying to make the best of it. And that is when, after a long trip down, you finally make your way into the squeeze, where you can see hanging above you your favorite tavern, the Zesty Anchor. And that is where we are going to go to our first break for the evening, as we lead up to all of our characters finally meeting each other.
Yay! Oh man, I love it already. I love all you guys so much.
All right, so we will try and be back in 5 to 10 minutes, hopefully. So until then, enjoy, and we will try and be back as soon as possible. So goodbye, everybody, until like 5 to 10 minutes.
Bye. Okay.
Hello, everybody. If thankfully your belch went unnoticed because I had it on silent, and now I have not drawn attention to it at all by any means. Welcome back, everybody, to the start of these indoor adventures. We have our fine cast and crew of people, and now we are going to get right back into it. So, we are going to start off within the Zesty Anchor, the tavern owned by one Fang Zest of adventuring fame. And within this building, there are quite a few people, all of which had come there kind of unbeknownst to our players, except Gwen, for an unkegging party, where they were where the Zesty Anchor was given a keg of the Stone Drop Porter, a new beer that is being tested out, and they wanted Fang to help promote it. He liked it enough the first time that he was willing to put it on tap, so a lot of people have come into this bar to try this Stone Drop Porter. Or no, it was the Stone Drop Stout. That's right. Because any of you who would have ordered beer before would know that the porter is called the Shroud Porter, named after the city that you guys are a part of, because it is much more applicable than the other thing that I said prior. So anyways, so now we are in the bar, and Cori and Blake, you guys have been drinking these Zesty Anchor drinks, which don't taste... Well, Cori, you think it tastes great, and Blake, this is very spice, and not what you were really thinking of as a fun before adventure drink. Caelum, you are drinking water, while the rest of your group is participating in this unkegging party, tasting this new beer, and you would realize that Fang also had poured himself one, Mirth had one as well, and they sent one back, and it seems like everybody is kind of participating in this new beverage. And Gwen, that is one of the reasons also why you were excited to go down to the Zesty Anchors for this party. So you get down towards the front of the bar, and that is when, again, we'll switch back to the inside of the bar, as the three of you who are currently inside of the bar notice, make perception checks.
Okay.
24.
Okay.
I have nothing to look at except my water.
Dirty 20.
Okay.
Ow.
And Cori, what'd you get?
8.
Okay. So Cori, you are looking at Blake, and like you guys were in mid-conversation, and Blake is just doing kind of the thing that he generally does, which is that he doesn't necessarily make direct eye contact with people a lot of the time when he's speaking, but it's more it's not necessarily out of a general like fear of looking somebody in the eye, but you know that he is almost continuously scanning the room and the surrounding area in case there is some sort of danger that would befall him or his group. And that seems to be more based on his training and his background as to why he's doing this, not necessarily out of, again, out of like, I can't talk to this person, but it is, you know what, I'm enjoying this conversation enough. I kind of want to make sure that the person I'm talking to isn't surprised when we get attacked.
When, not if.
When, not if.
Yep.
That's correct. And then Fang seems to be like kind of giving an order back to Huddle, the turtle chef in the back. And then his words kind of start mixing in his mouth, where he has the curtain pulled open and like,
we're gonna need another order of one of those potatoes.
And he starts like staggering forward a bit, and he puts his hand on the side of the wall, and his head sort of starts going down a little bit, and he goes to a knee. And Caelum, as well as Blake, you guys notice that the rest of the bar also seems to be experiencing this same kind of just like poo brain, I want to say, like the same just general, like everyone went from 0 to way too drunk all at once to the point of needing to pass out. But those who rolled a 20 and below, which was Caelum and Blake, correct? It was 23 and 20?
I rolled a 24.
Oh,
and I rolled a
20.
20.
Okay. So with the 20 and the 24, the three of you kind of looking around as all of these people have collapsed within the bar, you spot that there is a hooded figure in the back that is wearing a paper mache mask that is a really terrible caricature of an orc, where it just seems to like very pronounced tusks, really pronounced chin, like it's not a very flattering caricature, but then again, most caricatures aren't. And you notice him kind of like wave a hand, and as he's waving the hand, more people are just sort of like passing out around them. Then you see other people just towards the front of the bar also put on hoods that have these weird paper mache caricature masks, but one's of a human, the other's of an elf. And they look down at the three of you, who are the only three people in this bar who seem to be completely unaffected. The one who kind of waved his hand just looks at the three of you, just, what, you got something against stouts? And he seems to be like, what the hell? Like, this was a foolproof plan, free booze. Well, why are these three not with the free booze?
I'm gonna take out my crossbow.
I look around, guys. There's action. I think
Mugwort is passed out. Fearon is passed out. And Prescott was in the middle of being really shitty to you when he just stopped and then face first onto the table. Where you heard like a small crack, like the small sound of like a bone cracking, and you're pretty sure that he just broke his own nose from flat facing onto the table.
Oh no. And I like, rush over to the other side of the table and pull Prescott back so he doesn't drown in his own blood.
And it's just like onto his face. Like it has like the down splatter that's going onto it. But these people in their off paper mache masks see Blake pulling out his crossbow, and you see one of them also pull out a crossbow, and he trains it on you and says, all right, there's There's a good 5 of us. And then there's the 3 of you. I've never seen you at this bar before, so I am going to assume you are new in town. Is this a correct assumption?
So polite.
I'm new in town.
Nope, this is not going to become the Millennia podcast.
Not yet.
Not with that attitude.
We could do it, but we won't.
Is this how you generally treat people, like greet people in this side of town, or is it like...
So that is the thing. This is not necessarily a greeting. What originally was going to be, boys, if you want to continue your work, and you see 2 of them kind of go into the back with, into the kitchen. This was originally going to be a very quick, easy and out. And now, you 3 have presented me with a set of complications. As now, worst case scenario, hostage situation. And this is the one that's wearing like this this paper mache orc mask. You have left me in a very peculiar situation. So if you don't let us do what we need to, we're talking hostages. We're talking confrontation, which I'm sure you don't want. So how's about this? You let us do our thing. Help yourself to the kegs behind his bar. We'll be good. Does that sound reasonable to everybody involved? You let us do this heist. You don't interfere. And then we leave.
A peculiar moral quandary. And Coriander's going to say step behind him.
Oh, shit.
And in her autumn form, 2 creatures within 10 feet need to make a wisdom save or be charmed.
Okay. So, there were 3 of them that need to make a wisdom save now. The one with a crossbow, and 2 that also had put on these weird paper mache masks standing next to him.
Just him and whoever's closest to him.
It's 2. Yeah.
So you see the guy with the crossbow just turn and look at you, just, what in the 9 hells? And he just kind of like point blanks his crossbow directly at you. Another one draws this curved short sword onto you, and then you see a third one just kind of go like this while looking at you.
Blake is gonna like cut. He's gonna like drag his hand along the front of his the bolt loaded into his crossbow and cut his hand.
Okay.
Oh, well, that was supposed to work on all of you, but I suppose the distraction was good enough.
And with that, we're gonna roll initiative.
Before that, can I
walk in?
I got kind of caught up in this situation, but actually no, this will work out. Let's go for it.
Ooh, buddy.
Ooh, nice initiative.
Well, initiatives all around. Actually, no, not so much.
All right, ready for initiative?
Just a second.
All right.
Okay, so then cut 3. And wow, they rolled really bad. So unless you guys did really bad as well, things should turn out all right. So what were your guys' initiative? Let's start with Blake. What was your initiative?
18.
Okay, so 18. Cori, what was your initiative?
18.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, I know, right?
Dex 3.
And then
you mean mod? Dex mod?
Yeah.
Higher than mine.
A dirty 20.
Ooh.
Wait, so Cori, was yours supposed to be higher?
Oh,
No.
Blake's higher.
Oh, okay.
As in, other guys going first.
Got it. Caelum.
It would have been a 15, but it's a 14.
Okay, so...
Quiet crying, no dex.
All right, so... Okay. So, Gwen, you are walking up to this bar, to your favorite bar, and as you approach, you hear that there is kind of like a violin shriek that's kind of offbeat, followed by the sound of just, and then of just the sound of what you recognize as just bodies, like, of people just hitting various flat surfaces throughout this bar. And that definitely strikes you as a bit curious. And as you go around the corner, you don't even pass through the double doors. You just kind of like scoot underneath them, and it's your weapon that hits one of the doors that opens up. And you can see standing in front of you that there, or like off to the right, there are several figures clad in black, all wearing these weird paper mache caricature masks and then standing next to them is an elven woman, but she has very orange skin and her hair is this vibrant, almost fiery orange that starts off very dark at the top and then gets lighter going towards the bottom. Looking down, you can see that there is this horned figure with gleaming yellow eyes with a crossbow trained up onto a guy who also has a crossbow, but with his orc paper mache mask trained at Cori. And you, again, looking around, you see that Mirth is kind of just like passed out on the floor. Some of her food has been scattered. You see that Fang is on the floor. You see that the majority of these people are on the floor, passed out. And you walk into this room. And with the movement it would have taken to get inside of the bar, you would have roughly 20 feet of movement still left. So you were like 5 feet away from the bar going in.
Did I hear any of the conversation that just passed?
Make a perception check.
Okay. Oh. Went from a 14 to a 4. So that's a 5.
No, you kind of like walk in and just, sup, bitches, and like slow turn as there is this weird hostage situation going on, but you don't know necessarily who's the hostage. You can make an insight check if you want.
Nope. Who's closest to me?
Who's closest to you is going to be a man in a black robe. Who looks like he has his hands up towards his face in a motion like he is infatuated.
Oh no.
Okay, how close is he to me?
He is 15 feet away.
All right, I kind of look around. I have no idea what's going on, so I just kind of pull my battle axe from the bottom and flip it around, and I go, "This is the best night ever." And I start just running at the guy, and I'm gonna try to attack him.
All right, so make
as she's
an
running
attack
towards her,
roll.
Coriander's like, not that one.
All right, that was a 12 to hit.
Okay, so that actually hits.
Sweet.
Yes, that does hit.
All right, so I am going to do 4 damage, and what I'm going to do is I run up and then I knee slide into the guy and I cut right under his knee.
Ooh.
And I slide under him.
Okay, and you said that was 4 damage?
Yes.
Okay, so he takes that 4. So with the charm, is it a charm person spell?
They're just charmed until one of my allies attacks them.
It's questionable at this point, okay?
I'm going to say that he just got taken off guard with a slash to the knee. So he is very much not charmed anymore.
Sorry, Boo. Sorry.
That's all right.
So you just see this little halfling shoot under this guy's knees. Like with this big great axe slung over their shoulder. So next up, that is going to be Korie or Blake. Which one of you is going first?
I'm gonna say Blake first because he's got higher dex.
All right. So with the hand that I cut, I'm just gonna scritch, rub a little bit of blood on that bolt, and use the bonus action to activate my Crimson Right. And the bolt is gonna like burst into flame. And then I'm gonna take a shot at the guy who has the crossbow.
Okay.
Because I want to resolve this situation as quickly as possible. So that's going to be a 13 to hit.
That hits.
Oh, Nate. D8, D4. All right, so that's going to be, 11 points of piercing damage and 1 point of fire damage.
Holy shit.
Glass cannon
Oh my
in the
god.
house.
That is a level 1 character. All right, so Korie, it is your turn. You have seen the guy with the crossbow who had been trained on you just get this crossbow bolt into his shoulder, and he kind of like tilts off to the side so his crossbow is no longer pointing directly at you during your action.
All right. Who's the closest one to me?
All right. The closest one to you is most certainly crossbow guy, as you face stepped directly behind him.
Right. Okay. So that long sword is coming out in a flash, and she's gonna try and get crossbowman. Oh, that's a nat one.
Okay.
She's surprised by that halfling girl coming in.
So you
Sorry.
you kind of took the opportunity of the halfling girl coming in to bring your sword up to hit this guy, thinking that was the point of like, okay, this is the distraction I've been waiting for, and you swing your blade up. But that is at the exact moment where Blake shoots this guy in the shoulder. So as he recoils back, your blade just sort of goes over where he was and then just swings wide, so your arm kind of goes back and your blade sinks into the ground behind you. Not so much that you can't pull it out, but it is still one of those like, I am a worthy adventurer. Pop. Like. All right, so next up is going to be Caelum.
Ooh, after watching Coriander teleport over to that empty space and doing her charm thing, he's like eyes alight, like pulls out his shield and spear, and then he uses the blessing of the Raven Queen to like sidle up behind her, just teleporting.
Oh.
He's like, you can do the thing too.
Except when Korie did her step, there was like a small burst of like fall leaves that just sort of like it popped from where she was to pop to where she went. The same thing happens with you, Caelum, but instead of leaves, it's these feathers that just sort of. And then when you arrive, just these feathers. You can do the thing too!
I mean, it's surprise, but also delight.
So,
I'm Caelum. Take this, and he like casts bless on everyone that's fighting the rogue dudes.
Okay.
So that is everyone gets a 1d4 whenever they make an attack roll.
Woo!
Nice.
So attack roll?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on to that. How long does that last?
It's concentration.
Ooh, okay. Protect the white mage.
All right, so next up is going to be the guy with the crossbow.
That guy.
Who after getting out of the way of the stash, or wait, no, Caelum, no, you cast bless. Never mind.
Yes.
I was like, oh, did you have an attack action? No, you.
I mean, if you want to give it to me.
No, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. So this guy with crossbow just sort of opens up his hands and drops it, and you can see that he has it slung around his shoulder, so it just kind of like swings back into place. And then he pulls out 2 daggers. And he kind of like puts them into so they're facing outward rather than inward. So he has to go like this, so like he can kind of get his hands up in a more defensive stance. And he is going to try and stab out at Cori for that is a natural 1. So as he goes to bring up his knife, you just kind of block it with your shield, but the momentum of your shield ricocheting this knife that was in his hands actually causes it to slip out and like get out of his dominant hand, so he no longer has that knife. And so he then just kind of like looks at you, just like, and just throws the knife with his left hand over towards Blake, who had just hit him in the shoulder with a crossbow bolt. I am guessing that an 11 does not hit you.
Nope.
All right, so he goes to throw this knife at you, and I mean, honestly, his form is so sloppy. He's throwing with his left hand. You see that, like, maybe he's trying to be intimidating with it, but you just turn your shoulder ever so slightly as the knife sinks in right behind you, kind of remembering, like, I mean, the others in my hunter group threw knives so much more better than this guy. Or so much more better isn't a phrase, so much better than this guy.
That's on his reading level. It's fine.
Oh.
So yeah, this guy seems to be disarmed from his knives. And then the one who got his leg slashed also pulls out this curved sword, and he is going to swing down at our halfling friend.
Bring it!
As you say bring it, he gets a modified 20 to his hit.
That definitely hits me.
For 5 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
All right, so then next up is the other one who didn't get charmed, but doesn't seem to have a crossbow or any of those kinds of things, and he is going to swing out against Cori in an attempt to kind of make this a little bit more advantageous, but I don't believe that a 10 hits.
Nope, not at all.
All right, so with that, we go back to the top of the round with Gwen, as this dude just pulled out a scimitar and started swinging at you.
So he cuts me, and I just like get hit with it. I look up at him, and I would like to rage.
Yeah,
Tiny rage.
Yeah.
You look at him, and it's one of those anime blood splurts
Yeah.
all of a sudden,
Yeah.
where it's like just spraying everywhere.
So I'm going to take out my my hand axe, because I have 2-weapon fighting.
Okay.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to hit him in the thigh with my hand axe, and then I'm going to try to headbutt him.
Okay.
With my other attack.
Except you're like
Oh,
waist
crotch height.
high. You're just crotch shotting this guy.
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Catch him in the Goonies.
Yep,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
wanted to make sure.
Yeah, just so everyone's aware. Oh shit. Okay. That is a 7 + 4. That's 11 for the hand axe.
D4.
I rolled it.
Oh.
I rolled a 3.
So with the hand axe, as it goes in, this guy just sort of brings down his scimitar and it meets the hand axe, barely getting it out of the way. You can tell, though, that underneath this guy's weird paper mache mask, he is wearing one of a very derpy-looking elf. That there is some fear going on, as you got very close to ephemeral artery with that hack of the axe. So, would you like to roll for your headbutt to the crotch?
I would like to roll for my headbutt to the crotch.
Please.
That's a 16 + 4, 21.
21 totally hits.
It's okay. That does 3 damage. That does 3 crotch damage.
Okay.
Ooh, I think that's like every guy is weak to that.
Does he have
And I'm going
vulnerability?
Shift so that I'm basically just moving around him in his square so that it's harder for him to hit me.
Okay.
So like hit him, and then I go like I sneak to the side and I'm behind him.
All right, got it. So, next up is going to be Blake. And you saw this dude just try and throw a knife out at you. and you've seen that there is another person who can kind of do the same thing that Cori can, of just popping from place to place, that was sitting over at another table that also wasn't drinking the same thing that you guys were.
That's weird.
But they seem to be doing a pretty good job with the thugs that are.
How bad does Crossbow Dude look?
He hasn't been touched other than your crossbow bolt, but that crossbow bolt hit him to the point where you're pretty sure that would have felled any other common man.
Yeah, I don't like this at all, so I'm gonna... Oh no. Okay. 9 plus 3 plus 5. I think that's 17 to hit.
Okay, 17 totally hits.
For 6 points of piercing damage and 4 points of fire damage.
Jeez Louise.
Dang.
So 10?
Mm-hmm.
Dang, yeah. So you just load it up, pop out, just like you are going in, like you've kind of like almost mentally retreated a little bit when this fight broke out, seeing as there wasn't anything that is closer to like a favored enemy or like your preferred enemy. This is just a dude, so it's like, this is basically just shooting the target dummies. So you bring back your crossbow, pop it up, shoot. And just like you would with any of those other with those other practice dummies, you see this bolt just land directly in this dude's side as he goes to kind of like deflect with a knife somebody else's attack, and it just kind of sinks into his side, and you see him like cough out some blood. He's just like, oh, why? Although he knows why. He knows why. So then next up it is going to be Cori.
Alrighty. So fake orc looks pretty bad, right?
Yes, fake orc is looking very, very hurt, and so is fake elf.
Alright. Fake human still doing alright.
Fake human is doing all right, and you're pretty sure fake tiefling and fake dwarf are the two that are currently in the back.
Okay. All right. Who is closest to me aside from fake orc?
Besides from fake orc, fake human is near you, and so is the other faker that was there. I don't remember.
Elf.
The one I'm fighting?
Yeah. Well, there's fake human. So fake human, fake elf, fake dwarf. Fake elf was human, elf, orc. Orc is crossbow guy. Elf is the guy who's getting his legs just absolutely destroyed. And then human is doing okay, but he just can't seem to hit anything.
All right. I'll see if I can take down fake orc. Let's get a roll. Longsword, second verse. Same as the first. All right. Ooh. That's 19 plus...
Yeah, that hits. Don't even have to add. That totally hits. I'll save you some math.
Oh boy, here comes some damage that I haven't rolled in forever.
Here comes some sweet damage.
Here comes some damage. Okay, minimum damage. Great. That is 3 slashing damage.
Okay. So
fake orc.
To fake orc. Okay. This dude is having a really rough day. He thought that he was being cordial. He thought that he was being the most upstate of gentlemen to present to you an offer of no bloodshed. But apparently you guys decided to be really mean, and he's not having it. So he is going to slash out against you, Cori. Again, just pulling 2 more knives out. Just seeming an endless supply of knives on this guy. So is a 22 gonna hit?
Oh, yes.
All right, so he is going to deal 5 points of slashing damage as he brings his knife up. You go to bring up your shield, and his arm is long enough that he just kind of like pops around it to just kind of get you in the shoulder, and then he brings his arm back and tries to stab at you again with a 21 to hit.
Oh, yep. Definitely hits. Yep.
Okay, and he is going to deal 3 points of damage.
All right, and with that, I am bloodied.
Oof.
All right.
She said it, boys. She said she was bloodied. So then that is when you see these two hooded figures, also with these paper mache masks, one of a tiefling and the other of a dwarf. And the dwarf one is kind of a shorter figure. Walk out from behind the curtain in the kitchen with their arms around a lot of these bottles that contain a dark reddish liquid. And they just look up, look at Blake, look at the three of you, and then steadily recede back into the curtain, just sort of removing themselves from the situation. They are not having it, and they have departed.
Is there a back entrance?
You would know that there is. There's always a kitchen door.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay.
And you expect that these individuals are exiting out of the kitchen door
Right.
with their prize rather than coming back to the three that they seem to have pledged their loyalty to earlier in the day, but not so much anymore. So then next up is going to be the bandit that was fighting against you, Gwen, and he is going to make an attack roll. Does the 13 hit?
Nope.
Okay.
14.
So 13 does not hit, so he brings his scimitar down, and right as it is within like the last possible moments, you've kind of had your fun with this guy, and you bring up your hand axe, and the bottom part of it hooks around this guy's scimitar and just drives itself into the ground right next to you. And then he just sort of looks at he would look at you wide-eyed, but it's more of a what? Because his mask is preventing any facial expression, so this guy's really getting into body acting. And then that is going to be the other guy who looks at Cori, who seems to have taken some damage, and then looks at Gwen. Kind of mentally weighs his options a little bit. And he's going to strike Cori because he's kind of scared. Actually, let's see. He's going to strike Gwen to try and maybe, like, if we get them both, then we have more people again. Because he's realized that they went from being 5 against 3 to 4 against 3, but them being the 3. And he does not do a swipe. He does not do a slash against you. So he goes, so you have just like brought this scimitar down, and you look over, and this guy raises his arm up, and you just elbow him right in the groin again. And it just like why? And he both of the people that you are fighting, you have now just like one-shotted to the groin, and
it's effective, guys. It's effective. I'm sorry. Okay.
Look, hit what you know, and if there's anything that you know, it's hitting the waist and the groin area.
Okay. Right there.
So that is all that they are able to do. So we are back to the top with Gwen.
Did Caelum go? Yeah.
Caelum. Yes. Sorry, I thought that you went before Bandit Captain. So do what you got to do, and we'll work it out accordingly. I'm sorry.
I guess I'm gonna try and not murderize. Well, murderize. I see this person hurting another person, and I'm gonna just go for it.
Which one?
Oh, Bandit Captain. I'm going for, I guess.
Yes.
PvP.
18 to hit.
18 totally hits.
Cool, and then that plus that. Cool. 7 damage. Piercing.
All right. Weave for me your hero's destiny. How do you drop this guy?
As he slashes at Coriander, Caelum like ducks to her right, and then underneath her, and he's like, "Hello." pokes him in the chest with a spear, and then
he-
like sort of shield butts him off.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, he falls back and lands on the table that they were sitting at before you just popped him off with your shield. And his body is actually heavy enough to kind of snap that table in half as he lands on top of it. So he's sitting in the middle of this cracked table with other cups and booze just sort of pouring onto him as he has these 2 crossbow bolts that seem to have broken off into his shoulder and side, and now a hole just into his chest from where Caelum stabbed him with the spear.
Caelum just like runs to the bench. Farron! Oh, right, you're. I did it! Yeah!
All right, so that was Caelum. So now we're back at the top with Gwen.
Okay. I am going to hand axe this duder, or attempt to the elf, the not elf.
Yeah, the elf mask.
Yeah. And I'm going to. Well, I'm gonna roll first. Oh no, that was a natural 1, but because of my racial trait,
lucky this?
I'm lucky.
Nice.
So I get to. I must use the new roll, which was a 3.
Also, don't you get an advantage for being raging as a barbarian?
That's if you do the reckless attack ability.
Yeah, but I don't get that yet.
No, I
Soon.
believe that's at
Right.
level 3.
So yeah,
Maybe
so
adventures.
that's 6 plus 4. That's 10. Doesn't probably hit the duder. A 10.
10 does not, no.
Okay,
So-
and then I'm gonna go for a punch
Okay.
because why not? And that was an 18 plus 4.
Yeah, that totally hits.
That's right. You should just headbutt people.
I know. Well, I went for the axe hit. I'm just trying to throw him off with guard. So like go for the axe hit, and then I just sock him like right in the hip joint where your hit hits your leg to kind of throw him off, and that does 3 damage.
Okay, so with that, you hit this guy right in the hip, and you've felt this feeling a couple times, but your fist goes past where the hip should stop the joint.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this guy like lose his footing and then fall down to the ground, but his eyes are kind of like rolled back in his head, and he is just foaming at the mouth, just seemed to have passed out from the sheer pain of you forcibly removing his leg bone from his hip.
Okay.
But he is currently incapacitated and not a combatant for this current fight.
I'm going to turn to the human, which is the one that's left, the
Yeah.
human. And I'm like red eyes, like flames coming out of him. And I'm just going to be like, I'll point my hand outside and be like, you're next, bitch.
And you see his knees just kind of start shaking as he has his scimitar that's also just sort of shaking next to him.
Okay. I still have movement, right?
Yeah, you have not
Okay.
used your movement this turn.
Is he close to me?
Oh yeah, no, this dude's like 10 feet away from you.
Okay. So I'm going to like run at him, like I'm going to attack him, and then I'm going to like power slide past him and get behind him.
Okay. So that is Gwen's turn. Blake, it is your turn.
I was also thinking that this guy would be next. So, I think a what is this? 27 will hit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh,
Who are
oh
you?
yeah.
Who are you?
I'm so used to your other characters where it's like I rolled a 4. Sorry guys, and now you're like, yeah, it's another 27 at level 1. I mean,
No
what
big
am I
deal.
gonna do?
He
What do you
might
have
watch
to
the
hit?
VODs. He might watch the VODs, but I need to call out Conster for gifting me these dice.
Wow.
Hey man, that's a gift.
And yeah, this is gonna do 4 plus 3 points of piercing damage on the human and 4 points of fire damage.
So
Jesus
4
Christ.
I
plus
picked the
3
wrong
plus
race.
4.
Yeah, so 7 points of piercing damage, 4 points of fire damage.
All right. How do you weave your tail? Drop this fool.
So literally, like, I see Gwen go, "Oh, you're next," and sorry,
Excellent,
I'm
Gwen.
thinking of goblins.
Rude.
Worth.
I don't have a good halfling voice. Sorry. And as soon as he turns his paper mache head, I just want a flaming crossbow bolt to go through it and light it on fire.
Yeah, no, so this guy is shaking and his knees are rattling, his sword is kind of unsteady, and he goes to look over towards where you are, and right as his head turns, you just the other three of you who are up on this highest tier of the Zesty Anchor just sees this crossbow bolt sink in through the paper mache mask, almost where a third eye would be, of this human, and then the paper mache just sort of ignites. But normally, in a situation where you are wearing a mask that then lights on fire, you would think that you would frantically rip away at that mask. But this guy's hands just sort of stay towards the side as he collapses backwards onto the ground, as the paper mache burns away to reveal now a very charred, indistinguishable face. But it seems like now the combat that was occurring has died down, and now it is the four of you standing in an otherwise completely silent Zesty Anchor.
I'm gonna load another crossbow bolt, and I'm gonna start walking to the kitchen.
Okay.
Were the theatrics really necessary?
Let's get these sons of a bitches! And I run to the kitchen.
All right.
Oh, hey, nice to meet you.
So you go to the back of the kitchen, and that is going to be led by Blake, as you were the closest, and you just sort of you don't purposefully do it, but you kind of just let out this snarl that normally happens when you feel like the hunt has begun. And you tear open this hanging tapestry fabric that separated the kitchen from the standard area. And looking back, you can see that the one in the dwarven mask has his hands down in kind of a lattice formation, while the one in the tiefling mask is scrambling out a top window. As there does not seem to be a door in this kitchen for them to escape out of.
Oh no.
If I can go over to him and just grab him.
Okay, so by that time, the one in the tiefling mask would be able to get out of the room, and you would be walking forward right as Gwen also approached, after just hopping down these tiers of the bar to get right next to you. So you see this little straw-haired halfling just sort of arrive next to you with this hand axe and a fist coated in blood. Just, yes! And so that would be
that other guy.
That would be Gwen's turn to get your full movement down there. But Blake, you are currently 5 feet away from the dwarf that helped his friend out the window.
Sorry, say that again.
So the scene, as it were, is that you guys are in the back kitchen. You see a passed out turtle man on the ground.
Oh, no.
As the chef passed out. Luckily, he wasn't cooking anything. He seemed to have been between orders when this whole outbreak occurred. But he is currently passed out on the ground. You have found yourself 5 feet away from the small-sized creature wearing a caricature of a dwarven mask over his face, who just helped a humanoid figure with a tiefling mask out the window up top. That seems to have just been more of we need ventilation in the kitchen so that way our cooks don't die.
All right, I'm gonna shove like dwarf out of the way.
Okay.
And point out the window.
Okay. Make a perception check.
That is perception.
Yeah.
18.
Okay, so with your 18, you definitely see this like the one with the tiefling mask just like running down the street. And he has a messenger bag over his shoulder that you can see some bottles kind of sticking out of while he's running.
All right, I'm gonna shoot.
Do it.
We're still blessed, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
It lasts for a while.
Cool. So this is a 17 to hit?
Yeah, 17 totally hits.
And
for 5 points of piercing damage and 3 points of fire damage.
Okay. Yeah, no, this sinks into his back. And then you just see him fall to the ground and stop moving. And the dwarf mask just turns to look up at you with this lifeless face that is the paper mache mask.
I would like to punch him.
Okay. Roll for an attack as you are in the back with with this fool.
Okay. 25.
Okay, so with your 25, you definitely hit him.
Okay.
So that is actually enough damage that when you punch this dwarf paper mache mask, your fist just sinks into it, and you feel a nose break on the other side with just this, oh!
I'm gonna pull the mask off as I pull back and go for another punch.
Okay, so you pull this mask off, and you see this gnomish face that
Of
tries
course.
to like
Fucking
raise
no!
that tries to like raise his hands up as you go for the second punch.
22.
Yeah, 22
Using that
hits.
dice from now on. So that's another 3 damage.
Okay.
I'm just doing an unarmed attack at this point.
Yeah, so now he has a black eye and a broken nose as you have just pop, like, without even thinking about it. You have just dropped this guy. Or not dropped him to the point of unconsciousness, but he is very much just like he spits out a tooth that seems to be like his leftmost canine. As he's just looking up at you, just
no mercy. I pull him closer. No mercy, bitch. I'm not even raging anymore, guys.
Yeah, he continues to cry, but while he cries,
I'd like to take a free action to cry, please.
Free action to cry. But next up is actually Korie and Calum, who are these two elves now standing alone in the middle of this 3-tiered bar, surrounded by a bunch of unconscious people.
Right.
Oh.
Coriander's gonna kind of like flip her hair out of her face and be like, "Nice to meet you." And she's gonna kind of lean down and put a hand on Fang and expend a 1 hit point of lay on hands to wake him up, if that's possible. She's at least gonna try.
So who are you doing this to?
Fang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So make a medicine check before you do.
All right, I'll do that.
Or not medicine. This would be I want to say a wisdom related skill. Do you have a wisdom related skill that you feel would participate in this?
Not animal handling. Perception or insight, perhaps survival.
Let's say survival.
Okay.
Let's just say it's survival.
And bless works for this, right?
Yes.
Or is it just attacks? Okay. Alrighty. Ooh. Not great. That's a 6.
Okay. So with your 6, you feel like if you were to put just 1 point of your lay on hands into him, it might not do what you think it'll do. But you don't necessarily know how much lay on hands would be needed in order to actually bring him back out.
Right. Okay. All right. So she's gonna be kind of like standing over him, perplexed.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure what's happened to all these people? Something to do with the drink, I think.
At that prompt, Blake is going to go find whatever Fangwood is drinking, if he heard this, because he's in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'd like to actually make a medicine check because I can do that.
Do it. So, Caelum, who is next up in order, make your medicine check. Blake, when we get to you, we are going to have you roll a... Do you have alchemist tools proficiency?
I do have proficiency in alchemy.
Okay, so with your proficiency in alchemy, we are going to have you roll a wisdom plus proficiency bonus for that. But first,
24.
Caelum, 24. So with your 24, you would suspect that these people had suffered the effects of a fast-acting narcotic that would basically put whoever consumed this narcotic into a sleep-like state for 20 minutes before they awoke.
Oh, so what was in the drink was some sort of narcotic, and they're gonna be asleep for a little while, but they'll wake up.
And what did you roll for
eventually.
your medicine check?
Me?
Yeah.
24.
So with your 24, you would know that the name of this drug is catnap.
Catnap.
Aw, that's adorable.
I guess you could say that they're taking quite the catnap.
God's blood. If I was strong enough, I could help these people.
But they'll wake up in like 15, 20 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so next up is the dwarf, but he is kind of... Yep, sorry.
Can I cure wounds on Coriander?
Yes.
And you look a little bit hurt. And sorry if this is getting into your like personal space. Like it should be fine. And touches her arm and heals 8 HP.
Oh, that's lovely.
Nice.
All
She visibly brightens, just sort of like, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so then it is the dwarf, or the gnome, who was previously the fake dwarf, and he is going to use his turn to kind of just like grovel, cower, and beg. He is just, please don't hurt me anymore. My nose hurts so bad. Were you at the Staggering Spirit yesterday? What are you doing here? I didn't think I'd be here. Why? Gods, why? And he's just like holding, like with his free hand, because you kind of like have him by the shirt collar, so he has like one hand kind of like lightly on yours. He can't really bring a full strength to grip it, and the other is holding his nose, which has thusly been broken. And he is asking you repeatedly, what gods, why? I thought you were at the Staggering Spirit. This wasn't how this was supposed to happen.
Can he make a persuasion against me?
At disadvantage.
Yeah, he's definitely... in the words of the fate system, he is acting under pressure. And so he definitely has disadvantage. He got a 6 against whatever it is you're rolling.
I don't know,
A
man.
persuasion. Roll your insight. Maybe this was just a festival goer.
14.
This was a burglar. Like
Yeah.
this was a robber. He was trying to take the things.
Okay.
This was a stick up.
Yeah. Once I get him down low enough, I'm going to like pull him in, and I'm just going to say, "Tell your friends what you learned today." And put him in the face.
Okay, roll for an attack with advantage because I'm going to say you have him grappled because you were that close.
Okay. So that's 17.
Okay, so with your 17, you headbutt him in the face, and you feel his nose smoosh down even more. And he, like the guy outside that you punched in the nuts, his eyes just kind of roll back as foam begins to kind of come out of his mouth as he has been knocked unconscious by your blows.
Okay, I throw him down. I've got probably a little bit of a trickle of blood of my own.
Like, the skin on your forehead broke from just, like, I'm gonna slam my head into another hard surface. So, like, it's very much a tension break, but there's also more of other people's blood on you than your own.
Yeah. I'm gonna walk up to the front, out the little, I'm gonna go under the doors, and then I'm going to go behind the bar and grab a bottle of whiskey or something, and then just kind of go and sit at the bar with the I'll probably sit on the bar and drink the bottle of whiskey. What's up?
Make a Constitution check.
Wait, what?
If you're just chugging a bottle of whiskey, I'm
sipping it. I'm not chugging it, but yes, I will do that.
Okay.
I'm probably drinking more than I should. That's an 18.
You're feeling pretty good. Even though you just got fired,
I feel great.
Day's looking up.
It's true.
It's looking up. So yeah, Blake, you just see this little halfling just one punch, two punch, headbutt, and this gnome that was in the back has this broken in mask it still has over its head.
Oh, that's so
But like the front part is just shattered in, and it's just this pathetic looking gnome who is bleeding out of the nose, has some teeth missing, but is just passed out, and you see Gwen just strutting out after having knocked him out. But yeah, looking out, you see that the tiefling that you would hit with the crossbow is steadily like trying to get back up.
I'm gonna go out the window if I can.
Okay. Make a acrobatics check.
Am I still blessed?
Yes.
Bless wouldn't affect acrobatics of the guidance.
Oh, okay.
All right. Cool. 10.
Okay, so with your 10, this isn't necessarily more of a like one hand jump out of the window, Duke slide across like a little like trash grate that's going on. This is more of a like you bring your leg up and over, second leg up and over, and it's much more of a methodical, predetermined like this is what we had to do for our survival courses.
It just makes him look like a serial killer.
Yeah, at the hunter order.
Because nothing else about me
Right.
was unsettling.
Yeah, so you hop out, and so make your crossbow shot as this tiefling masked person tries to stand up and continue running.
No, I'm just gonna go up and
Walks
if you
after
feel like
run.
climbing.
He's more like crawling forward to try and like make as little movement as possible, but I mean you've seen this 100 times before at least.
I kind of just want to like if I can make it to him, then just like pick him up.
Oh yeah. Make a athletics check.
Oh damn. Okay. 14.
Yeah, so you pick this guy up, and you hear the clinking of bottles in a messenger bag as this paper mache tiefling mask, and it's a red-skinned tiefling that just sort of has this like yeah face on it that like you expect people, if they were to draw a caricature of a tiefling, would look like this. And
So welcome back.
and it's like they're like trying to like swing their arms out a little bit, but upon doing so, like it's one of those, they bring their arm up and then wince in pain as the muscle that has a crossbow bolt currently stuck in it tries to move, and they just bring their arms down and then just like sway back and forth, kind of like a kitten when you pick them up by the nape, where it's just like arms up, legs kind of like pop up a little bit as you just drag them back to the Zesty Anchor. And then you are going through the window, or are you going like back around to the front door and going in
Back around to the front.
Huh?
Back around to the front.
All right. So yeah, then after after about a minute or so, you see Blake just walk, like, open up the two waist-high double doors that kind of just, like, swing listlessly behind him, with just this like, tiefling masked humanoid with its arms brought up and legs kind of, like, popped up as well.
Oh, good, Blake, you got one.
And it, like, struggles a little bit, but then again winces at the pain of its own arm and just goes back to being what it was.
I'll take my crossbow bolt back.
Oh, I'm gonna aim
That's
my.
supposed to. Oh.
Oh, it was already cauterized. That was a flaming crossbow bolt.
I'm gonna pick up my axe, my big axe, and I'm gonna aim it at him. And I'm just be like, "Hey, I know this didn't go how you wanted it to, so you better just kind of stand still, because I'm sure these people have some questions for you." I don't, because I don't care that much. And then I click my thing back on the thing, and I'm gonna drink more.
Okay. You just hear, like, coming from inside of this tiefling mask.
Yes, questions. That sounds like a good idea. Who do you work for? She's just kind of conversational.
Well, I mean, I work for the boss.
Oh, hold on. This seems like a good idea. And she just kind of, like, grabs him by the horn and pulls off that mask.
Oh, please don't! And then you reveal it, and you just see this, like, it's like a human around mid-20s. He has some pockmarks in his face. But other than that, he just seems like kind of brown eyes, brown hair. That's kind of, like, smoothed off to the side, but more smoothed with several days worth of unkempt hair grease versus as more of a stylistic choice.
Oh my, you're just a child. What are you doing wasting the best of your days doing crimes and harming people?
Crime's fun, and I need money. And that's just kind of what he says, with Blake, like, holding him up, looking at you. Is that crime's fun? I just need money.
Well, he's not wrong.
But I don't.
God's blood. No one can help these humans.
Do I know? Can I recognize this kid at all?
Make a history check.
11 plus, not mine, 10.
You know, you would have seen him around with your due dealings. You've had to kick this guy out of a few bars before, him and his friends, as just sort of a rowdy crowd that doesn't take too kindly to the general authority of the space.
Well, I've had to kick this kid out of a lot of bars, a lot of places. Looks like you're just a ball of trouble, aren't you there? You know, if you want, you guys could just kill him. I don't really care.
Oh, I mean, I would really prefer that you didn't do that thing. Like scale of 1. Okay, and he looks at Blake when he says scale up, and he's like, I didn't mean, it's just a matter of you know what? I should really be going. The street lamps just came on.
All right, you know what?
I think I hear someone's calling for me. You know what? You guys can just have. You want my coat? You want the bag? You can have the bag. You can have my coat. I have shoes. They're not very good shoes, but you can have them if you want. I kind of just want to leave.
I'm afraid you're well beyond missing curfew. You're gonna have to stay here and answer our questions.
Oh no, because the sun is. And he looks out the window, and it's darker now. And he's like, oh, that usually works when the sun's up. So,
all right,
that's okay.
I jump down off onto the bar stool, and then I jump down again off onto the ground, and I kind of walk up to him with my axe in hand. And I'm like, look, I'd love to let you go, but you kind of trashed my favorite bar. And
I didn't. I was in the back. This is not me.
No, we were just wearing this mask for fun.
Yep. Like I said, crime is fun.
Which one is your favorite toe?
Oh.
That's, you know, I feel like that's a loaded question.
How about the whole foot? Which one's your favorite foot?
Okay.
I could have size up.
I'm just gonna like put my hand out. Just like,
Yeah. Coriander will step in front of her and be like, as you can see, my friend, as she kind of looks at her, my friend
The fuck are you?
here, is very anxious to dismember you. So please just answer the question: who exactly do you work for?
I work for the big cheese.
Big.
You work for a cheese?
Not a cheese, the cheese. I work for the big... Oh, he's gonna be so mad. I work for the big cheese.
Do I know who this is?
Right. Okay. And this is an alias of some sort.
Yes and no. Gwen, make a history check. We're gonna say with advantage because of your dealings within the city.
Okay.
Ben was right.
12.
Talk about it's fucking weird.
All right. So with your 12, you normally know, but because of your race, yes. So you would know that there is a pseudo crime boss. He's kind of on the lower ends of things, but he has a gang that kind of goes out and does things for him. And he refers to himself as Curdle. And the reason that you would know of Curdle's existence is because he specializes in a type of cheese. A type of cheese which to the larger races, for half-orcs or elves or humans, it's just a kind of odd tasting cheese. But for the smaller races, gnomes and halflings, this kind of cheese actually mimics the effects of a very fine whiskey or a very fine alcohol. So consuming this cheese will actually get you drunk. And this guy has now copped up to being an agent of this big cheese, Curdle himself.
All right. And is in general, he's just like kind of a mob boss kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, like, from what you know, you don't believe he's a very good mob boss, because if people know who the mob boss is,
Right.
what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Oh. All right, he's cool. Let him go.
You
What?
heard the lady? Please. His smile just like gets bigger and bigger and bigger until...
Coriander will kind of look at Blake and then shrug and be like, yeah.
Will there be any ramifications from this particular bar towards him? Like, is there like a rivalry between the two, or is it just this was just a mark?
This was just a mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, everyone's asleep right now. They don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but how much are we gonna tell him, really? So yeah, just take the bag and let him go.
That seems like a really good idea, because I liked these shoes and I really didn't want to give them up.
But hey, and I point my axe at him.
Oh,
If I ever fucking catch you in another bar I'm in, I swear to God.
all right.
Right?
I will
Right?
pay a homeless man 2 copper pieces to look into a bar and tell me if you are there or not beforehand. That way I'm also contributing to society. Please put the axe away.
I mean, you could just like peek in. Like, I'm not gonna, as long as you don't come sit down. I'm not like unreasonable here, guys.
No, that's good. And when he says that good, you can kind of smell that there's like a uric kind of
I'm
scent.
so used to that.
And you see that there's just a wet spot on his pants, originating from the groin area.
I'm gonna like get a little satisfaction out of this and walk back up to the bar.
So, we cool? Yeah.
I'm gonna like pinch the bag off of him and set it down. And then I'll set him down. 2 pats on the back.
Okay. We're cool. I'll let the boss know that the Zesty Anchor not a good place.
Probably.
Bye, little man.
Anyways. And then he just runs out of the bar.
Aw.
And then you guys are left alone in this otherwise kind of sleepy tavern, as no one else is awake. But that is after about 5 minutes pass, and you check to make sure that like nobody's dead.
Right.
For sure. Just like, I mean, some of you do, others might not care as much. But yeah, you definitely go and find out whether or not these people are either just currently sleeping because of the catnap or are in a little bit more dire need. And it seems like all of these people are just generally passed out. And then 10 more minutes go by, and you see people just like start to stir. And Fang, like, you see, like, brings a hand over to his head. Just, ugh.
Fang!
That loud voice. Only one person. Oh, please no. What?
We rescued your thing. We did a thing. Me and my friends.
I swear to God, there's a reason why I said you could only come into the bar once a month.
Hey. I did a good thing this time, all right?
What do you mean a good thing?
You
What
got drugged.
What happened?
You got
I
drugged.
don't remember you being here.
You got drugged. Then these people with the masks tried to steal shit. What'd they steal? Did we even look what they stole?
Gonna go get one of the bottles and pick it up.
Oh, that you should bring that up. You should bring that up a little bit. You know what? It's gonna be free rounds, not of the Stone Drop Stout.
Nah, bad stuff.
We're gonna do the Crow's Nest Companion. It's a tried and true. It's cheap. Everyone loves it. Just that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing right now.
But there are some bodies that might need to be taken care of.
Yeah. Oh, look. Right now, those are gonna act as a reminder to not fuck with my bar. Until that point, everyone else get the fuck out of my bar.
And you see all these other people just like kind of like wiping their brows, other people like touching their tongues like, oh, what did I drink? And you see Mirth, the tiefling waitress, like kind of get up, like check her clothes real quick, check behind her at the table that like had the half orc that slapped her ass earlier, and she just like and then walks off.
Yes.
And she points at Fang and says, "Today's gonna be 2 days' pay."
Yeah, I don't fucking care, Mirth. Just look. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Go home.
And so she leaves and huddles steadily, like he just sort of like quietly brings out food for the four of you, who are all just kind of like perched up at the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point, as everyone's leaving, like Caelum's standing over the body of like the paper mache orc guy, and he has like this 1,000-yard stare, just staring down at him.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Like,
and that's when Mugwort, who's kind of walking out as well, just,
what is that you? My head is like a cloud. What did that guy looks very hurt and not of the moving sort. What did you do? Is this you? Is this the other ones?
they broke in and they attacked people up there, and I kind of went and helped. And I got him. And he holds up like the bloody spear.
Well, that'll be the shit. That's amazing. Caelum, it never gets easier, but it gets easier.
And he kind of like claps your back. And then just...
Normally, we do not stay here. They don't have very many rooms. We're going to go down the squeeze and find the place. We can... let's go.
And as he motions to go, Fang raises his hand just...
No. He's not like, he's... Were you awake during this whole thing, Gray Face?
Yeah, I was.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'm gonna need you to stay back then. Mugs, don't worry, I'll figure it out. I'll send a bird or something to let you know what happens, or I'll send the kid.
And then Mugwort just sort of nods, just...
You may have found yourself a new party after all.
Woo!
My forever home?
And Prescott, like, groggily walks past you and just, like, this is the one time I wish I never drank. And then he also walks out. And you see Farron also walking up past you and looks at you and looks at the spear. I told you. I knew that you could do it. And then he walks out of the bar as well.
Yay.
And that is where we are going to call it for the evening.
Yay!
Thank you all for everyone who decided to stop by the inaugural episode of the Indoor Adventures with all of these lovely people who are absolutely fantastic role players. And honestly, this stream would be nothing without them other than me communicating for like 5 people of just, I can't believe you would do this. I can't believe I would do this either. And like have to like somehow structure it so my face would pop up in different... It would just be a whole mess. I'm not about that. It's easier to have amazing, amazing people. So let us go through these amazing people and you guys can tell us where we can find you / what do you do, starting with Caelum. RJ, where can we find you?
Hi, I'm Justice on the internet. You can catch me at RJustice282 at Twitter or on YouTube at the same thing on Twitch.
Awesome. All right, next up, Gwen / LBHackEmUp. Where can we find you?
Hi, I'm LBHackEmUp. I'm on Twitter sometimes, usually just for this. So it's in the link in the doobly bottom. Yeah.
It's all there. All right.
It's down there.
All right. So next up, Cori / Danae Keener. Where can we find you?
Hello, everybody. You can find me at DanaeKeener.com. I do drawings and commissions, so you can find me there if you want to get stuff.
As a note, Danae was also the one who did all of the art that you guys have seen for this campaign, including the break screen, the little faces that are all in the corner, as well as the full stream drawing. If you want anything in that style, I can personally vouch, absolutely wonderful to work with, and you guys will be getting a very quality thing. And then if you want to see any doodles from tonight's session, as she said, DanaeKeener.com is the right place to find it. And last but not least, Blake / Cyberwolf. Where can we find you?
Hey guys, I'm Cyberwolf1201 on the internet. You can find me here on Twitch, where over at twitch.tv/Cyberwolf1201. Link is in the doobly-doo down below. Where I play video games badly. But I talk about the lore because that's what I find fun. You can also find me on Saturdays around 12 Central Time on twitch.tv/ProRestarter, where I'm playing another campaign pretty regularly. But none of that applies for this week because I will be at Gen Con, and you can find me at Gen Con.
I'm super excited. as a West Coast person, Gen Con is a very far distance away, but I am excited to see all of the updates.
It's very far from me too.
But that is going to be everything that we have to give to you guys for tonight. So come back next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to watch the continuations and A New Dawn Part 2. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks.
Bye.
Have a good night. Whew.